Hi, I'm Avon, and in this video we're going to go through Zoho ERP, or Enterprise Resource Planning. This is a brand new application from Zoho, only just released and only in India. So I've got a demo instance and let's do a tour together. Okay, so in this unboxing, I'm just in the application now and I'm on the home page. Initial thoughts are, well, it's part of the Zoho Finance Suite, so it looks a lot like Zoho Billing, Zoho Books, etc. And let's click around, let's have a look. We've got getting started, and there's a whole bunch of things you've got to do. You've got to set up your organization details, warehouse locations, enable all the modules, and we're going to walk through some of this as we go. Again, this is just a preview, like an unboxing. So if you want to know more details, you can download your own demo instance and have a look. So we've got dashboards here. And once there's some data flowing through, we can see there's some net profit and loss, performance indicators, receivable summary, payable summary, cash flow, cash position, income expenses, top 10 trends. Now we've got best selling items, top customers, top vendors. So some really good insights that you would want to know. And then you've got other reports on receivables, non-profits, procurements and payables, and then retail. So if you've got Zoho POS, or point of sale, which again is a new thing, is also not yet available in Australia, then you would be able to connect it up and you would have the register summary here. So if we open this as well, there's a quality system too. So I've turned on everything I can at the start, and so we'll have a look through and see what that looks like. Actually, so that we make sure that we've got everything turned on, let's now go over to the settings. And the first thing you'll notice is that the settings look almost identical to books, billing, etc. And so far, I haven't seen that many differences. And I think that, again, this is what Zoho does, is they'll roll out a product as a MVP and then just go from there. So there are a couple of things in there. Like, one thing I noticed is this departments. So you can organize your structure by departments, and then you've got locations that sit under that. And technically, locations does exist within books and billing. Departments is a new thing. And then there's other elements like the billing and drawdown and some other enterprise features that, they're minute shifts on existing things that you have already or that you think you should have. All right, so let's go to profile. So same as your normal account, you would just set up your web URLs, your base currency, financial year reporting basis, time zone logos. Again, you put your branding in. We already looked at designations. Okay, so job titles with designations. So once present in the organization, you can associate it with an employee. So this allows you to generate reports that break down payroll data by designation, and you can carry out tasks such as salary revisions and exit process easily. Okay, so let's go new designation. And so it just looks to be like a category, and that's it. And then I would imagine you then apply that to the individuals, and then you can do your searches based on that. But other than that, there's not a lot of detail within that. Custom domain, yep, same as books, billing. Departments, okay, so let's have a department name. Let's say sales, and the department head is, okay, we don't have contacts in there. Department code, yes. And again, there's not a whole lot you can do here, but that allows you to manage the financials, group things a particular way, and that'll help us to maybe run some more reports later. Locations, again, once you turn it on, you can't turn it off, but this is the same as books and billing. You can create an organization that's your books instance, but then you can create locations. So you might have, Western states and then Eastern states, and then under that you might have warehouses. So you can move, you can relocate, you can do transfer orders, and you can run reports at location basis, but for the most part it's generally under a single location. Okay, managed subscription is for your Zoho subscription. Organization preference is, I don't know, let's go new field. Okay, so test field, and this will be a number. And then we've got input value, default value, mandatory, show on PDFs. So this is where you're basically building custom fields. Okay, so let's just cancel that one. All right, users and roles. Pretty sure this will be exactly the same as the standard version. Got a few extra roles in here. Let's go to user preference, new custom field. Okay, so in the books and billing location, you've got these custom fields in different areas, but it's just giving you more ability to make custom fields more obvious and usable on this side. Let's go tax and compliance. As I mentioned, this is set for India. So these are direct taxes, non-profits, MSME settings. All right, setup and configuration. So in the general setup and configurations, most of this is pretty well standard as the same as the books and billing. The one thing I did notice is you've got this return period. So you can allow automatic refunds. You've got billable bills and expenses. So if you want to put it in a track and then, or in a particular account, and then you've got a percentage markup that you can apply. And then we've got document copy label. So duplicate, triplicate, quadruplicate, quintuplicate. That's a lot of duplicate copies. Wow. In any case, we've got configure modules. And again, this is where we turn all the modules in here, where I wanted to come through and look at this first before we go look through the rest of the software, because it looks as though you can turn a lot of things on. So let's turn everything on. First thing I noticed is I try to click on these two, but when you hover, it says this module will be automatically enabled when you turn on the payroll or travel and expense modules. So we'll come back to that. Composite items, price lists, yes. Inventory, track location settings. All right, so let's do pick lists, move orders, transfer orders, put aways, stock counts, and the sales. So let's go to retainer invoices, payment links, sales returns. Then let's go batch payment. Then let's go accounting. And we may not look at all of this in that much detail. Fixed asset, not get asked for a lot. And then we've got payroll, and then we've got travel and expense. So we've got trips and expense reports, and then advances. So if you want to give someone a bit of money in before they go. And then we've got manufacturing, bill of material. Yes, this is the feature that so many people have been waiting for in Zoho, and that is the manufacturing and managing orders. Bill of materials, manufacturing orders, job cards, shop floor. Awesome. Okay, so let's go. We've got quality, retail store, online store, early access special request. Then we've got distribution. That would be your beat management. So that's, say for example, you have sales people that are walking around a route of supply regions. So say for example, you are a common product that's being supplied to a franchise. You might go to all of those franchise units and ask them how many they want to buy to stock, or here's the latest products and here's some deals, etc. So that's what that'd be for. And again, you request access. Then you've got donations. So let's go save. You must enable location in your org before enabling pick lists. Okay, we'll come back to that. Currencies. Oh. Stay here. Let's go and find pick lists. Where was that? Okay, so to access the below features, enable locations in settings, and then organization and location. So let's go organization, locations, leave and discard, enable locations. Okay, this might take a while. We'll notify you once done. All right, doesn't look to be that long. Okay, so we've got head office as our location, default transaction series. If we click in, what options do we have? Okay, so we get to say business location or warehouse location, and then again, address, GST, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, let's go back down to setup and configurations, configure modules. Now, got to go tick all of these again. Okay, now we've turned everything on that we think we can turn on. Let's hit save, apart from some which have early access. It's taking quite a long time to save. Okay, so we seem to be having some issues in saving these bits of information here, or these records. So I've gone in and I've tried to save. I've tried to select everything that needs to be selected. And let's refresh. So I want to select the new modules. Obviously I had some issues before. I just tried again with these two. So let's go back down here. I think the most important one we want to have a look at is this manufacturing. So let's hit save. And the last time it took a good 5 minutes and it seems to have been saved. Okay, so maybe, okay, those two have been selected now. It might have just been an issue on screen. So let's go with these ones. Do a progressive save rather than try to save everything all at once. Okay, that worked. Retainer invoice, saved. Sales return, saved. Fixed asset, saved. Reload the page. Yeah. Let's get payroll, trips, advances, save. Okay, that's everything. Now, currencies, exactly the same as books and billing. Policies. Now, policies seems like a new thing, so let's click into this one. And it looks like this is more about, expensing things. So we've got travel policy, surcharge on foreign currency expenses. And then we've got mileage, configure mileage rates. So fuel mileage expense, you'd be able to put some other expenses in there. Per diem, set up a diem rate. So allowance given to traveling employees. So if you give them $50 a day or $100 a day, then you can configure those rates here. And then you've got audit for this policy. Cool. All right. What does audit look like? Receipt verification, card statements, mileage verification. Okay, so it just looks like a matching system. All right, let's go into opening balances. So of course, when you're migrating in, this is where you update all the balances of your information. So if we click in here, it'll expand out all of those. And then your bank accounts, expand that out, etc. Liabilities. And it looks like you can add new accounts. So we've got a reminders. Let's have a look here. We've got reminder for overdue invoice, sent invoices, payment expected. That's pretty much the same as when you are in Zoho Books and Billing. Then we've got, enable the portal for customers automatically, duplicate payments. You got lots of features in here. So enable customer reviews, sales orders, display donations, display credit notes, etc. So you've got a few options in there, and you can put sales IQ. Again, quite similar to Zoho Books. Subscription management, let's go enable. And then they should be able to see what their trials are, their cancellations, pause and resume, see any payments, and then see any advanced statuses on that. Okay, we've got custom tabs, so you can put another custom tab in there, maybe a link to an app if they're buying that. Pay schedule. Select your work week, actual days in a month. Organization working days, pay on last working day. Okay, so that looks more payroll based. Statutory components. Again, this is for India. Salary components, deductions, notice, claims and declarations. Then we've got vendor portal, so there's your suppliers, and again you've got some allow vendors to update their contact details, organization details when they sign up for the portal, allow vendors to upload documents, and accept or reject orders. Loyalty programs, enable now. So allow users to adjust the loyalty points of the customers, round off loyalty points to the whole number, deduct loyalty, award loyalty points, and then when tracking, points tracking account. Okay, so that's when you're creating an account, so you could create a new account for that. All right, customization, hosted payment pages. Again, this is very much like your payment pages in Zoho Billing, and you can put your products and services in there. Again, you go next, and then they've got the order summary or billing address, and then review order, put their credit card in, proceed, card number, expiry, etc. So obviously you need to connect your payment account, but you can customize some of the fields that are in there, some of the messages that pop up, the thank you redirection page, and your colors and branding and so on. Transaction number series, so you can create your own default transaction numbers, so sales return, fixed assets, vendor payments, etc. So if you create a new series, again, you might have a series that includes some kind of identifier for a region. For example, it might be PO AU, so purchase order Australia, or POIN, purchase order India, or credit note India, whatever. Salary templates, again, this is built for India, but design multiple salary structures, duplicate, save time. Now, PDF templates, it seems like you get a lot more PDF templates here than what you do in the others. And we can see right now we're looking at invoices. Now you've got delivery. Now challenge is the word for receipt. So if it's pretty much the same thing. Again, this is the Indian version. So if you have a look here, sales orders, sales returns, you've really only got one option there. But invoices gives you, obviously there's a little receipt. It's a slightly bigger receipt. That's more of like, something we would send. And then this is something what you would see a major warehouse putting together, because there's a little bit more information required on the screen. And it really up to you on how you want it to be displayed. Because, how are the people receiving it that need to receive it? So donations, you've got credit notes, purchase orders, putaways, vendor statements. I'll just quickly go through journals, quantity adjustments, item barcodes, assemblies, move orders, salary certificate. There's heaps. Bonus letter, expense reports. The list goes on. All right, email notifications. Again, generally, Zoho's pretty good with its email notifications, and you get all of the others as well. So, you've got some that are not enabled, but you can turn them on. So, updating subscriptions. You got heaps of thank yous and accounting notifications as well. So, owner drawings notification, owner contribution notification, other income notification. There's heaps. All right, SMS. So you can integrate SMS into here, which would be, say, for example, key alerts when a customer signs up or when a big deal has gone through, or in particular, things like approvals. Then we go to reporting tags. Reporting tags are a great way to, you've got at transaction level, at item level, etc. And you can do it for various things. So employees, items, fixed assets, and configurations. Web tabs. Now, I don't necessarily see why you would have web tabs, but if you want easy access to a website, or perhaps you're looking up an online catalog, a web tab could be very good for quickly accessing that within your user application. Okay, enable signature. Maybe just as an example, let's create one here. We'll call it Relevate. Okay, so you've got a check here. This URL belongs to a Zoho app or website. So say, for example, you had Zoho Commerce and you wanted to embed it as a web tab. This would just improve the authentication. And then the visibility. So if you only want you to see that, or selected users, or everyone. So we'll have a look at that a little bit later on. And then let's go digital signature. So you can enable digital signatures. So say, for example, document signature cycle for invoices. I would like to think that you could have signatures on certain authorizations, but it's just a nice way to get that sort of thing signed. Okay, so automation, workflow rules, all of this would be relatively similar to the other versions. So schedules, report automation, modules, employees and contractors. You can automatically generate IDs, contractors, custom fields, custom buttons, customers and vendors. All right. So again, we're going to enable customer numbers or vendor numbers. Who's the default type of customer? And then are we enabling a customer credit limit with a warning, etc. So you might do that with your B2B customers. And then let's go field customization, custom buttons, related lists. This is very similar. All of these structures seem very similar to the standard books settings. So accounting, all right, so make account code mandatory, default account for currency exchange gain and loss, journals, recurring journals, journal validation rules, journal approvals, default tracking, journal custom fields, chart of account fields. So you've got lots of options there. Then we've got tasks, projects, timesheets, and you've got rounding, whether you round up, down, nearest. Again, mostly similar to books. Employee portal. Now this is kind of a new thing, and we can see, flexible benefit plans, reimbursement claims, income tax, proof of investments. So potentially that is going to just have pay slips and things like that in there. Again, this is very Indian based. So let's look at inventory. So you can add new assemblies, embedded barcodes, inventory adjustments, stock counts, pick lists, packages, shipments. And this is sort of like for each module, what are the custom fields that are allowed? Most of this should be relatively similar. So if you're adding Stripe, for example, employee salary, direct debits, again, India. So then we've got sales quotes. In the quotes, we can see a couple of the settings, whether you're converting or creating an invoice, progress invoices, zero value line items, and select the fields in the quote you want to retain, so customer notes, terms, and addresses, etc. And then you've got various other parts, so your approvals phases, field customization, validation, record blocking, etc. Retainer invoices, again, this is very similar to what exists within Zoho books. Now, retainer invoices are not how you would think. In Australia, you would generally say a retainer is an automatic recurring subscription pretty much, and then you draw down hours. That's how most people think of a retainer. Whereas a retainer in accounting terms and in Zoho is kind of like a prepayment request. So instead of it being an invoice straight away, you're sending a request for funds, and then you would draw that money down using invoices. Are we allowing our customers to pause and resume? Again, that feature is available in Zoho Billing currently. In-term reactivation. So if someone has cancelled or paused and then you pay, can you reactivate it without changing the billing date? So that's that one. Plan-based subscription, so prorated, and then how you apply discounts to that, should they have a coupon or a code or something like that. Billing preferences, consolidated billing. We use this quite a lot. Again, it's available within Zoho Billing, so nothing too fancy there. Metered billing. Dunnings management, cancellation preferences. And again, this just asks whether you want to, if you're selling a high value or high volume item, then you probably don't want to read a full custom cancellation. If anybody leaves a cancellation message, you may just want to give them some options and then they can select. Purchases, recurring expenses, purchase requests. So purchase request is obviously for the employee to submit a purchase request that, hey, we need this thing for the company. So it might be, we need a new office chair, or we need some more staples or something like that. Then they can put this in. So then you can give them various fields, what they need, approvals, page layouts, links, buttons, validation rules. So links might be to approved supply sites only, for example. Or you might go and look up some pricing, but you might have to build that. Request for quotes. So allow vendors to send multiple bids, request for quote. Request owners to approve their own request for quote. and I use it to bid on behalf of vendors. Okay, so this is when you're trying to go to market for something and you're sending quotes out. So then we go to purchase order, and then we've got purchase receives, bills, recurring bills, payments made, batch payments, vendor credits, and then payroll. Now, this is Indian payroll, so I probably won't go into this too much, but it might be a good insight on what will come for the rest of the world. Okay, so categories. So categories, travel and expense, so that is like what else are they spending money on, accommodation, etc. Expenses by merchants, so you might put in, key companies that you work with, just so you can see how much you're spending. You can see in the screenshot here, it's got Ola or Uber, two ride-sharing applications, but you might want to see which airline people are spending money on. And potentially, if you understand how much money you're spending with one particular vendor, you might be able to approach them and say, hey, we're spending $1 million a month on flights with X airline. Can you do a special rate? Can we partner? Can we do something where there's some extra benefits? And you can use that negotiation power, particularly once you get to enterprise level. It's all about the negotiation. All right, trips, expense claims, expense reports, advances, batch payments, manufacturing. All right, so we've got cost templates. So let's add a cost template. Test, rate, 1, cost account. We'll just grab whatever's on the list, save, and then we go to work center types. Let's go test. Work center timing. Create and manage work center timings to define hours, breaks, weekly days off for your employees. Okay, so these are the works of your operations center. So when you're running your timelines for your production runs, that you've got the ability to define when people are actually going to be doing the production. All right, work center name, test, save. Work centers, new work center, test. Work center type is test. Work cost template is test. Work center timing is test. Okay, all items. Setup time, cleanup time, capacity, save. Okay, minutes, let's say 60 minutes. Cleanup time is 30 minutes. Capacity is 1. Okay, then we go to operations. Let's go new. Test, work center type, test, save. All right, let's go to quality. And then you've got simple or advanced, quality templates, inspection work list, etc. Retail, general, mandate a customer for sale, or automate print receipt. Let's do that. Save. Sessions, enable. So opening amount, previous session closing balance, default amount. So you might say, I'd imagine this is for when you're running a e-commerce location, or sorry, a point of sale, then you might say, well, the daily cash amount is $100. That's what we're starting with. So email session reports, cash denominations. Yep, how much money is in there by what number of notes. So then we've got payment method, it's cash. You might add card or credit. And then we've got custom module. And then we've got integrations. And then we've got developer data. Okay, so that's pretty much all of the settings in Zoho ERP. Let's have a look now at the front. All right, so in terms of getting started, we've gone through and added our warehouse locations. So it's showing you that our completion progress is a little bit further along, and you can go into the manufacturing progress, and we've done a bit there, and you can go into the retail store. We haven't really done anything there. So we're not going to go and set everything up. We really just want to understand how this goes together. we can go in more detail in other videos. So, all right, so let's go to the dashboard. Let's go to people. We've got employees, and then we can see all employees. Let's add Bill, and let's go a@a.com, and then it wants a mobile number. We need a last name, S. Preston Esquire, employee ID 1. Okay, executive role, process pay run, expense policies. All right, so let's just save that, and then you can enable the portal access. So then you go shop floor staff, and then you can have shop floor number, we don't need an email, we do need a number. And then we go quality inspectors, and again, it's just a listing of that. So I'd imagine that your employee also has to be a shop floor staff if you want them there. Let's go look at items. So let's create a new item. Let's go widget. That's good. Okay, we can add front image, rear image, other images up to 15. And then we've got type, sales info, purchase info, track inventory, and cancellation returns, fulfillment, etc. So let's go turn everything on. So finished good inventory, FIFO or weighted average cost. And then we go to cost of goods. Let's go, yep, that blue price, 1 rupee. And then we'll go to selling price is 1 rupee, account is sales. Actually, we'll make selling price 2 rupees. Okay, units, we have to choose a unit, so let's go pieces. And contains variance, so you might be able to select, add identifier, etc. All right, so then we've got all of the standard things that we need, so let's go save that one. All right, so that's our item. Then we've got plans and item add-ons. So plans is kind of like subscription. So you could add a product. So here's the product. The plan name is test. Plan code is also test. Billing frequency once a month. Auto renews until cancelled. Pricing model, price, setup fee, type, etc. Hosted payment page. So then I did another video in Zoho Billing Enterprise, and it looks almost identical to this. So I might not go into too much detail, but that's what we could do here. Let's just save that one. What do we need? A valid price. Let's go on the plan name, billing frequency, sales pricing. Okay, price per unit is 1. And then let's save. And that is our hosted payment page. If we were to put that in a browser, we would get the little credit card pop up, but it will probably come up with an error because we don't have our credit card set up and we don't have everything else turned on just yet. But in here, we can see that's the product. If we had add-ons, we could see them in here. We can create new. We can also create add-ons from up here. So an add-on might be, buy a new data pack or something like that. And then we've got activity log. So it gives us the history. So then we have composite items. And again, this is very similar to what you have in Zoho inventory. So you go to composite item and you might make it that product based on 3 other products. So you would say, there's a bolt and a washer and a nut, and that is a bolt assembly, for example. So assembly item or a kit item, individual goods sold together. So a group of items combined and tracked and as a single item, so that would be the bolt assembly. And then the kit item might be outfit, hat, shirt, pants. All of them can be used completely independently, whereas the group items probably need to be managed as a single item. Okay. Bill of materials. This is a long-awaited and exciting element of Zoho. So we can create test, and then bill of materials quantity is 1 item to produce. So if we set up an item, so we need to create our widget, we want to create one of them, and then if we add our components, So in our component consists of a widget. Maybe it also adds the component of, maybe let's add another item, and then we'll say item setup, and then this is a service. Oh no, it's not letting us do that. Single item, SKU account, cost is 1, inventory account is inventory asset. Alright, valuation, FIFO. Okay, save, what have we missed? Enter the unit and enter the rate. So selling price, make it just 2. And what else have I missed? Enter the unit. Okay, so the unit, that one there. Okay, pieces, save. So item setup is also 1. Okay, let's now save that one. We need to select an operation. What does that mean? Select an operation. So bill of materials. 1 pieces, component, operations. So there's a tab here, which I didn't see at all. Let's select that one. And then the operation is tests. Right? So that's how long does it take? Right. So we put that in and we said test, whatever the description is, the duration. Okay, so if that was set, and then we'll say select blocked operations. Okay, so blocked by operations. So the this kind of looks up your capacity to deliver, and then that would tell you, can you actually do anything about it. So quantity 1, test 1, operation 1, save, enter the actual duration. So let's just say 1 hour. Save. Duplicate item is not allowed. New operation. Test 2. Work center type test. Alright, duplicate item not allowed. So something over here is not allowed. Anyway, there's something going on. I'm not quite sure. Again, this is an unboxing, so I'm pretty sure that we could figure that out later. Leave and discard. Pricing widgets. So pricing widget, and again, I've put this in another video, is the little do you want to buy package A, B, or C? And you can put the button and you can embed it on your website. And I did that in the Zoho Enterprise Billing video, which I'll link somewhere up here. Price lists. Alright, so price list to create. You create a price list, and you can have a sales price list and a purchase price list. And then you have all items or individual items, and then how that translates to a bill. So say for example we create a price list, and this is a sales price list, and then we might say this one is to region, so you might say 5% and round off to, never mind, but this might be a region 1, because region 1 might be more expensive to deliver to. So it might be within 25 kilometers of your business, it's free delivery, or it costs X. Outside of that, it costs 5% more, up to 50 kilometers, and then 50 kilometers and beyond, it might cost 10% more. Just because it takes longer to get to where you're going to do the job, or to supply the item. Coupons, again, it's like you're discounting. All right, and we're still only on items. We come over to inventory, and then we've got pack and ship. We've got assemblies. So go to sales order. So create a sales order. You've got your subscriptions there as well. So create a subscription, plan 1, 2, or whatever. And then your subscription created, raise invoice, payment made, end of billing cycle, and around we go again. Sales orders and sales returns. So sales order, customer requests, accepted an estimate, and then you create the sales order, convert to open, then you convert the sales order to an invoice once you deliver it, and then you get paid. So sales order can be good for that step before you actually start doing the work. So you issue the sales order, they pay that. As soon as they pay it, you send them a $0 invoice because you've matched it. But at that point, you've not created a an income earlier than you should. So most large organizations are on an accruals basis, and so you don't want, like, let's just say if I do a sale today and then we cross over the tax year, that the invoice of when it's actually delivered would be in the following tax year, because the sales order was raised but then it was delivered, overnight, and then the invoice was generated on the following tax year. So the account system goes by the invoice, not the sales order. The sales order is an intent to buy. The invoice is you have bought and now owe this. One thing I also notice here is we've got co-create agent. So co-create agent could be send an invoice to Bill. All right. Obviously, there's not enough information in the system, but yes, if there was, you could say, create an invoice for Bill. It would say, I see you normally create this kind of invoice for Bill for those sorts of products. Would you like me to do it again? And then you could then have it fill out all the rest of the information, and it should be fine. Okay, so then we've got invoices. Again, sales orders precede invoices. So we can see we're going to create a new invoice. Again, much the same structure. It's just legally a different document. And then you've got payments. So when someone create a payment link, you can send a link to a customer. They can click it. They can put their credit card in and carry on. Otherwise, if it comes in the bank, you mark that it was been received through the bank, and then you can match that payment to an invoice or multiple invoices. All right. So let's go to more here. We can see we've got contributions. This is using those donor functions. So record donation. Again, it's much like an invoice. It's the same thing. It just probably goes to a different line of accounts. And then if we go to sales, that's what we were in before, but it got demoted because we clicked on the contributions. So let's go to purchases. All right, so create a new vendor. This is your supplier. Then you've got all of the details that you want to store against them. So address, contact persons, bank details, so you're not paying the wrong person, because there are lots of scams these days. So let's just go test, and we'll save that one. And now we can see what our history is with that client. You've got your expenses, procurement, request for quotes, RFQs. Now I kind of like this one because you could say, I want to buy staples. And you might say, I'm just going to put some whatever in there, save it next. So then you'd say items, add approved purchase request items. So you would build a list of what are the items that are approved for purchase. You might say staples. And we've already determined that this is the right type of staple in the right box amount that we want to buy. Because, maybe you use a stapler type A instead of a stapler type B, and so you need that product size. So you bring that in. So let's go add new item. Let's go add new staples. And cost price is $5 typically. An account would be, I'm just going to select whatever because we haven't gone and set up all the accounts. And then we'll say expense quantity. We want 5 pieces, kilos, box. We want 5 boxes. Okay. Allow vendors to include shipping charges in the bid, or allow vendors to include additional charges. So let's do that. Expected date notes. We won't worry about that. Okay. So then you'd say terms and conditions. Okay. Here are our payment terms and conditions and what we want you to do. We want you to deliver. We want this. We want that. And you can put all that in there. Again, save it next. Documents. Obviously, you would do this for more than staples, but you would do it for, here are the specifications required for the staples that we use. No. Save it next. Bidding preferences. So start date, end date. Okay, so they have to submit their thing by that time, and then award date. You're going to do it by the week after that. Save it next. So, all right. So start date's invalid. Save it next. All right. Anyway, it doesn't like that. Quote, is it billing dates, information shown in the vendor portal. So it must have to be a bit further along, or include the times as well. So anyway, doesn't really matter. And then the next step is team, like who are the people reviewing it. Now, you wouldn't necessarily do this to buy a box of staples, but you might do it to buy a shipping container worth of staples that are then to be distributed amongst your entire organizational regions. So anyway, procurement. And then you've got a dashboard of all your procurements, bidding, award dates, statuses, etc. Large companies do this all the time. Bills. Okay, you've got your vendor credits, recurring bills. So purchase item, recurred the bill, batch payments, payments made. And then let's go back over here. We can see travel and expenses. Now there is a new expense platform that's being raised by Zoho, and that is coming. So maybe that'll be another demo that we do. But simplify business travel booking, and then you can see submitter creates a trip, submitter submits a trip for approval, approval is granted, and then admin selects the travel, submits it to the traveler, admin books the travel once it's confirmed, and submitter associates the costs and completes the reports. So that is that one. Expense reports, similar. Corporate cards, using your corporate credit card, and you can bulk connect and then import all that information. Cash advances. If someone doesn't travel on a regular basis, you may advance them, $500 for food and incidentals, and this is how you can track that one. And then batch payments. So paying a lot of things in one go. All right. Now we've gone through purchases. We've gone through travel. Payroll. Again, this is Indian payroll, so this may not be super interesting for many of you. But again, there's a lot more setup that's required, so we might save that one for another day. Let's go to time tracking. Now, time tracking looks to be almost identical to how it occurs in Zoho projects, in Zoho books. So let's go create a new project. And let's go test, your customer name, walk-in customer, billing method, fixed cost. Let's go based on project hours. And then let's say 1 per hour. Now, we've got task name, test, description, test. Okay, and it is billable, save. So then when we go in and we start time on that one, we can go log time, and then we can say, yes, it's for that task. We spent 1 hour, and let's save that one. Or you could start the timer and then just go log time. Let's go start timer. And the timer is now running, and you can see pause, stop, and then edit, etc. So let's just stop that one. Okay, so let's now have a look. We've got the ability to add timesheets. So we put new log entry, and again, same thing. You should be able to put a weekly log entry, and in this case, we can say we did 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, and it's already tracked our hour for today. So if we click away, we hit save, it's saved all of that, and it's totals us up for 4 hours for the week. All right, because we did it on Sunday. Now, if we go down back here, let's go to accounting. And again, this is your statement of accounts or your chart of accounts. And then you go to, you've got journals, you can bulk update, you've got banking, fixed assets. Let's have a look at the fixed asset register, create new fixed asset. And then we've got purchase value, asset type, depreciation frequency, computation type, pro rata, no pro rata, depreciation frequency, asset life, maybe it's 36 months, 3 years. And then we've got, fixed asset account, where does it go to, accumulated depreciation account, depreciation expense account, etc. So there's a lot of things that we can do there. All right, and then we've got employee expense budgets. So we can enforce budgets on individual expense, cost centers, departments, and users. So let's go new budget, general budget. And then we can place that one in there. And then if we say new budget, user budget, so down to the individual. And then we go to view user budgets, and then we'll see how they're tracking on all of those. Then you've got, so I'd imagine on those user budgets and organization budgets that you're going to create those high-level budgets, assets, liabilities, accounts, and then you add accounts that are relevant, that it's then going to give you some tracking codes. So every time you create an expense, you would then have to apply it to an individual, apply it to a cost center, apply it to a job, etc. Transaction locking, financial closure, and then we've got taxes and filing, and then in the setup, chart of accounts, journals, fixed assets, indirect taxes, etc. So again, a lot of this is set up for Indian accounts. And then the last one, or last two that we've got is reports. So we can see you've got your profit and loss, cash flow, sales by item, profit by item, and then you've also got the ability to create more reports in in Zoho Analytics. In particular, you've got the ability to create shared reports, custom reports. So if we want to create a custom report, we would look up cash flow statement, for example, proceed, and then we might say we want to compare it with something, we want to add a filter, we want to constrain it to a date range, and then we want to have it show particular items or hide particular items. All right, so the last one, which I said I would show you, is Web tab, and you can see here it says Relevate, which is us. So if I click on that one, it is bringing the website live loaded inside of this. So again, web tabs, I don't love them, but if you needed to have a particular like product catalog or a rules website or information that your users need to use, that's pretty much where you're going to use this. So while we're here, we are global Zoho enterprise partners, and we can help you build your platform and roll it out no matter where you are. So thank you for following me through the Zoho Enterprise walkthrough. Again, this platform is only days old. It's only just been released, and we're just doing a quick walkthrough tour here today. Even though it's new to us today, we have a lot of experience with these platforms, and we can help you set them up so that your business runs more effective and more efficient. It's good to see a lot of the features that we've been custom building into Zoho Books are now available as standard features in Zoho Enterprise. So if you enjoyed watching, please give us a like and a subscribe, and let us know what you thought in the comments. Otherwise, keep an eye out for the next video right here.